This review is brought to you by Maze Theory, who have provided me a review copy for Doctor Who: The Edge of Reality. I want to thank the whole entire development team for giving me the absolute honor of being able to play this game early and now review it for you guys. So again, thank you so much to Maze Theory. Let's get right on into the review. Doctor Who: The Edge of Reality is a game that you guys know I have been waiting for such a long time. When they originally revealed this game with the reveal trailer, and they revealed that David Tennant, aka the 10th Doctor, was going to be a part of this game, I absolutely lost my mind. The 10th Doctor is my favorite Doctor, and he didn't really get much video game representation. Mostly the 11th Doctor got that treatment. So getting a game with the 10th Doctor as well as the 13th Doctor with Daleks, Weeping Angels, Cybermen, the whole lot was just super exciting for me, and I obviously have now gotten to play it, and now I'm going to review it for you. Keep in mind this review will have no major spoilers. I might touch on some late game things, but nothing that will spoil the story or anything like that for anyone. So keep that in mind as we go through the review. If there is something that you didn't want to know about that I talk about, I am sorry. Because of the fact that this game is so short, it is kind of hard to talk about the game as a whole without kind of covering a little bit of the spoilery stuff, especially when it comes to the 10th Doctor's involvement. But we'll get into all that once we actually get into the review. So is this game an absolutely fantastic game, or is it an absolute nightmare in silver? Haha, let's find out. So if you've played Doctor Who: The Edge of Time, which is the Doctor Who VR game that this game is heavily based off of, then 2/3 of this game should seem relatively familiar for you. It kind of goes through the main sequence of The Edge of Time. So first you're in the woods, then you're in that spaceship, then you meet the Weeping Angels, and then the Daleks. It's all relatively the same, but there are some minor changes in the gameplay to suit console-style gameplay a little bit better. But the settings and the situations are mostly unchanged. Like I said, there are some small, subtle changes, but nothing really too noteworthy, except for some things that I'll get into in a little bit. So the 10th Doctor comes in later in the game and actually has some pretty big impact on the story, which again, I will not go into that part of it, given the fact that that is going really deep into spoiler territory. But he is here, and he does play a decent role, and yeah, so with all that being said, I'm going to get into the good and the bad things about Doctor Who: The Edge of Reality. The story is actually really good. If you liked Doctor Who: The Edge of Time story, then obviously this one is the exact same as that, but it has been expanded, and I really think it is cool. It feels like you're in a Doctor Who episode, more like a Doctor Who special because of how big the story is. It really feels like you're just a part of Doctor Who, and I honestly love that. You know, with all the references and Easter eggs that are in there that are related to the Doctor Who franchise, it's just such a treat for Doctor Who fans to just dive into this game and feel like you're in the world of Doctor Who, fighting off the Daleks, the Cybermen, the Weeping Angels. And that's just the monsters. The story itself and how it relates to all these monsters and creatures is just absolutely fantastic. But I'm not going to get into that here, like I said. The ending is also really good. I know this kind of relates to the story, but the ending, especially as someone who's a 10th Doctor fan, was really good. This isn't like the exact ending, but it's right before the very ending of the game. I'm not going to say what it is because, again, spoilers, but it involves the 10th Doctor, and it'll make 10th Doctor fans happy, I personally feel. It's just such a really cool callback, and I absolutely love this ending and think it's great. Next up is the gameplay. The gameplay of this game is just superb. I really just like the variety of different gameplay there is. There's stealth missions, there's some kind of horror stuff, there's puzzles, there's quite a bit here, enough to where you have a decent variety of gameplay without the game feeling like it's just very disjointed and just doesn't know what style it wants to go for. It just does everything it wants to do really well. Well, most of the stuff, but I'll get into the thing I didn't like in a little bit. Also, the environments in general were just really fun to explore in two different senses. Firstly, the level design. While the levels were definitely linear, there were cool branching paths that you can go off and explore different parts of different levels. You can find different Easter eggs that relate to, you know, Doctor Who, whether it's, you know, different props or different costumes from Doctor Who lore. The level design itself is just really, really good, and I personally really liked it, but also just the visual splendor of the game. You look at these environments, especially with the TARDIS, when you have the TARDIS doors open and you're in an environment where you can just see inside the TARDIS, you can see how it is bigger on the inside. It's just such a cool feeling that translates so well to video games. And the game itself, like I said, just looks so, so good, and I got nothing to say. I got no complaints. Another great thing about this game is the music. There's not really much to say about it without just listening to it, but the music in this game is superb. There was not one piece that I thought was bad. I give huge props to the composer, huge props to everyone performing it. The music was just amazing. There's not much else to say about it. Okay, so this is going to be a change for those of you who've played Doctor Who The Edge of Time, but the Weeping Angel segment is completely different in The Edge of Reality, and I think it's better. I think it is so much better in The Edge of Reality. Now, The Edge of Time Weeping Angel section was really good. Like, it was definitely suited for VR, but to work in a console game, it needed to be changed. And oh my god, it was brilliant. It was spooky, it was atmospheric, it kept you on your toes. It was really, really good. It was probably my favorite part of the game. I absolutely loved fighting the Weeping Angels here. I wish it was a little longer. I wish the segment went on for a little longer because it felt relatively short. But nevertheless, I loved this segment, and I really hope that Maze Theory actually do some more Weeping Angels related stuff and like integrate this into it, because I thought this gameplay was pretty unique and pretty fun, and I really hope they somehow do more with it if the BBC give them a chance to work on another Doctor Who game. Okay, now we're gonna go into the things that I personally didn't think were too great, and the first thing being the cutscenes. Now, I'm gonna give Maze Theory credit since they're a smaller studio. You know, they're not this big AAA studio. I don't expect the game to look, you know, and to run and everything like, you know, every AAA title ever. But I do think the cutscenes don't look that great. Now, the character models are fine. I don't really care about that. It's mostly just two things. Firstly, the animations, this is going to sound like a really bad insult, and I apologize, but it does kind of remind me of like the GameCube era, where the animations of the characters, even if they're not talking, they're just moving around. It's a little awkward, and in 2021, it just doesn't look that great. And also just the camera placement, it just feels like the camera just kind of hops around wherever it wants to when the characters are talking, and doesn't exactly make sense to, you know, where the cutscene is. And I don't know, like, I just wish the cutscenes were polished up a little bit more. Now, I will say that Maze Theory has been very open about patching this game up, so maybe this can be something that they fix in the future. But yeah, the cutscenes, in my opinion, aren't really that great. Okay, this is the one segment that I don't think translated well from the Edge of Time to the Edge of Reality. Now, this could literally just be me, but the Dalek shooting segment. Now, I actually really liked this segment in the Edge of Time, and I actually did pretty well with it. You know, I didn't die once. It was really fun, really engaging. But for some reason, I had a lot of trouble with it the second time around, or at least doing it on the console. I don't know what exactly it was, but I wasn't a huge fan of it. I kept dying, you know, like, every time you get shot by a Dalek or the drones, your vision starts to go away, and then the drones would fly all over the place, so they'd be really, real hard to hit. So it just led to me just dying over and over and over again to drones that I couldn't see because they were moving around so fast. And when you're moving, you might see the crosshair is a little bit behind where you are. So sometimes, if you're going after a moving target, not only do you have to have your crosshair over the target, but you actually have to have it a little bit in front of the target to account for the fact that the reticle behind you hasn't caught up yet. So to me, I don't know if this didn't translate well from VR, or if they just could have done something different here. But yeah, I just did not love this sequence very much. Okay, so this is a personal thing for me. I completely admit this is just me personally wanting something more of this. But the 10th Doctor, I wish there was a little more of him. Now, like I said, there are some story-related things that he's part of that I loved and really make up for this. But when it comes to the actual him being in gameplay, there really isn't that much. I mean, really the only time we get to see him in a gameplay sense is during a running sequence. Again, not going to dive into this too much, but you're basically running with him. Now, yes, this is very 10th Doctor era, which is actually a pretty cool thing, but that's all you really get to see. You get to see him on a screen a couple times and all that, but this is the time you get to see him and he's just running. He's not talking to you, you don't get to interact with him, he's just running. And I just kind of wish there was a little bit more. Maybe you get to run around with the 10th Doctor and do a couple things, rather than just running with him. So I know this is a very small complaint, but to me, I just wish there was a little bit more of David Tennant. Especially since he doesn't show up for 2/3 of the game, I just wish there's a little bit more of him. Speaking of the running segment with the 10th Doctor, there is one thing that segment was really missing, and that was music. It really didn't have epic music to accompany the fact that the Cyber Reaper is chasing you and you're running with the 10th Doctor. There was no real epic music at that point, you know, to make the moment feel like had a lot of tension and energy. Now, I did mention earlier that the music in this game is absolutely great. Richard Wilkinson, who's the composer of the game, did an absolutely amazing job with the soundtrack, like I said. But I just wish there were more moments that had actual music to provide that sense of atmosphere, or to provide that sense of, you know, just what's going on. And just this didn't have it for me. There were a couple other sections of the game that didn't have the music really as well, but to me, this is the one that really stood out because of the fact that it was an action sequence. You were being chased by the Cyber Reaper. I just wish there was more. The last bad thing I have to say are the bugs. Now, granted, the bugs aren't that bad. Like, there aren't many game-breaking bugs or anything really extravagant like Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated had at launch, but there are some bugs that do kind of take you out of the immersion, just a little bit. Like, you know, sometimes, like in some of the cutscenes, I remember seeing the 13th Doctor kind of floating in the air. You know, just things looked off, things were a bit buggy. Like I said, not too bad, but enough to be kind of distracting. Overall, though, this game is a Doctor Who lover's dream. Fans of Doctor Who, old and new, will most likely find something enjoyable about this game. As someone who likes the modern era of Doctor Who, likes the 10th Doctor, I even like Jodie Whittaker's Doctor to some extent, I do find a decent amount of enjoyment in this game. I loved my time with it. I'll be double dipping, well, not double dipping because this game was given to me, but I will also be getting it on the Nintendo Switch, and that's the version I'll be playing on the channel, so definitely stay tuned for that. So like I said, this is an absolute Doctor Who lover's dream, and you can see the passion, the drive, the love for Doctor Who that was given by the developers for this game. And like I said, there are a few bugs and some things that can be fixed, but given that Maze Theory want to patch this game up and make it absolutely great, I have no worries that they're going to do an amazing job patching this game up and just making it absolutely superb. For now though, given that patches may change this in the future, I'm going to give Doctor Who The Edge of Reality a 7.5. Now I know this score seems low, but trust me, it is still a fun time, definitely well worth your time. I just really want to see them fix this game up. And if they do fix the game up, fix up some of the bugs, the graphical glitches, the cutscenes, then I could easily give this game an 8.5. So yeah, so thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I really hope you enjoyed. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. All that stuff down below. Click on the notification bell so you're notified of when I upload videos. And check out the merch store. There's some cool ZakPak merch up on there for you to check out. So yeah, so thank you guys so much for watching today's video. Hopefully you enjoyed. And until next time, I'll see you guys in the next video.